Hey.
Good evening. What is happening, everybody? And welcome back to another exciting episode of Ready, Steady, Remake, the world's greatest podcast, where each week we take a film, we love it, we hate it, and then we remakes it. I'm your host, Rich Kelly, and as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host. It's Rachel Tomo Thompson. It's a spook fest, guys. Rach, tell the people out there what season is it? What's the plan for this season, mate?
Well, it's Ready, Scary Remake, mate. I think we've done it before. It's October. There's Buddy in the back. You see him in the window. It is a Ready, Scary Remake month of horror, and we're kicking off the first episode with a 30th anniversary special. And guess what's 30 years old, mate?
Go on.
It is a film that was made in 1991, American supernatural black comedy film based on the characters from the cartoon created by cartoonist Charles Addams and the 1964 TV series produced by David Levy. I'm going to go Levy. It's directed by former cinematographer Barry Sonfeld with his screen directing debut. The film stars Angelica Houston, who actually was nominated for a Golden Globe for this. Also starring Raul Julia, Christopher Lloyd, and Christina Ricci. With a budget of $30 million, it went on to gross $191.5 million. Da-da-da-dum. 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 It's the Addams Family, mate.
We've done this before.
This holiday season, they'll make you feel right at home.
Last night, you were like some desperate howling demon. You frightened me. Do it again.
The Addams Family.
Mate, it's the Addams Family. It's the Addams Family, like you said before, mate, based on, what's his name? What was his name?
It is Charles Addams.
Charles Addams. So, mate, first things first, the Addams Family goes back a very long way. This is a comic strip created back in the day. As you also just mentioned, had a TV series and even a cartoon series back in the day as well. And then kind of had a big reignite, comes back in the 90s. So, mate, as always, let's start where we always start. When was the first time you saw the Addams Family?
It was on VHS, mate. Classic. Rented it from the because I think I was 6 when it came out. So I was probably too young to be taken to the cinema. But yeah, mate, classic family all watching it. Video. I remember I was young. I don't know how old I was. But I was scared, mate. I actually was like a little bit scared of it. Like I think it might have been maybe my first introduction to horror. It's not horror, but obviously from as a child's point of view. But if I'm honest, I was struggling to remember because I've seen it so many times. It's kind of one of those movies that's always been there. But yeah, definitely on the old video. What about you?
I remember seeing Addams Family Values in the cinema, the second one. I saw that at the cinema. I didn't see this film for a while. I'm pretty sure it was on television at some point because my main memory of this film as a kid is the Shakespeare play that Wednesday and Pugsley do, and the blood just squirting all over the place, over the floor. Yeah, and that being one of, even as a little boy, being like, this is incredibly visually shocking for my little eyes. Even though it's a joke, I was still like, this is a bit fucking much for me as a kid.
All the whole front row are just covered in blood.
Yeah, and then the Addams Family stand up and like, bravo!
Bravo!
But yeah, mate, so for me, this was a movie that Addams Family Values was on my radar way more than the original Addams Family.
Yeah. Values one is that's the one where they go away, is it? The kids.
Mate, it's when the kids go to camp.
Yes. I love that
Brilliant.
film.
It's brilliant. I actually think, let's talk about quickly. This film, The Addams Family, is the first of a trilogy of movies. I think Addams Family Values is the best one. I think this is a close second. And there is a forgotten third film that people don't speak about. I forget what it's called. It stars Tim Curry as Gomez and Elle Driver as Morticia. Whole new cast. And they go away to like a holiday resort. It's terrible.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that.
I think it's straight to video.
Okay.
I think it was straight to video in the late 90s. I remember renting it as a young boy and it being like a big pile of shit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Big pile of shit.
Yeah. It's a big old pile of shit. Whereas Addams Family Values, I would say, is nearly a 5-star movie. I would say this, I'm putting it around a 3.5 for me personally.
Okay. Should we go through it then? Should we go through the cast?
Yeah. For me personally, the standout for me of this film, of all the films, is the late, great Raul Juliá as Gomez. I just think he is incredible in these films.
Well, he is Gomez, isn't he, mate? He just is Gomez. When did he pass away?
He died shortly after filming Addams Family Values. He actually died while he was filming the film Street Fighter, where he played Bison in the terrible Street Fighter film with Jean-Claude Van Damme. If you watch that film, he's very clearly not well. He's really skinny, and I want to say it was some kind of cancer, but I don't actually know what it was that he died of. But he was a very sick man, but by all accounts, was like an absolute wonderful guy to work with. There's not a bad word said about Raul Juliá. Everyone just said he was a lovely bloke. Also, the first Latin American to play the character of Gomez, which is a Latin American name. He'd always been played by white Americans. And now finally he's been played by a Latin guy, which has kind of set the trend. Oscar Isaacs is voicing the character in the current iteration. And there is a Addams Family series coming to Netflix, directed by Tim Burton.
Is that with Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Yes. It's called Wednesday. It's about Wednesday when she goes to college.
I've heard about this.
Yeah, and Catherine Zeta-Jones is Morticia, and I think his name's Louis Guzman. Is Gomez. You'd recognise his face, mate. He's in everything.
Do you not think that's an interesting choice for Gomez? Don't know.
Louis Guzman. I think it's great. Mate, have you ever seen what Gomez looks like in the original comics?
No.
Yeah, Gomez don't look like Raul Juliá, mate.
Okay.
Gomez looks like a little ogre man. He's got like a little fat turned up nose, and he's like, nah. Yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, here is a picture of the original Addams Family. As you can see, Gomez looks very different. But there you go.
But back to Raul, like, incredible in this, mate. Like a child. I think that's what I love about him. He's literally, I think, as soon as Fester returns, I just think you see Raul's performance just turn up a notch. Like, he becomes like he's 8 again. And I just think, like, even the bit with the when he's suspecting that maybe it might not be his brother, and he's like, because he's confused about the finger lock, and he's like, the trains, and he's like, he wore it for since he was 8, and he's like battling with the trains, and the kids are like, oh god, dad's got the trains again. Like, I just think he's unbelievable.
My favourite Gomez line is he's at a party. I don't actually know if this is from the first film or the second film, but there's a bit when he's at a party and somebody goes to Gomez and goes, Gomez, you old lady killer. And he looks and he just goes, acquitted. Which I think is fucking funny, man. That's a good line. It's a good line. Yeah, Raul Juliá for me steals the film. Let's move on, mate. Let's talk about Morticia Addams in this movie. Angelica Houston, mate.
Didn't she base her performance on Jerry Hall or something, apparently?
I've heard that. The thing that I find the most fascinating, do you know about like the fishing line on her face? So, um, Angelica Houston had to have like these fishing line filament wire attached to her face,
Yeah.
and apparently caused her real bad headaches and problems on set and stuff
Didn't
like
she
that.
have and she also had a metal corset.
Metal.
Metal, mate. Yeah, that's what I read.
Ooh.
So she could never lie down. So basically, in between, scenes or whatever, she could never chill. She was a very intense, stressful shoot. For
But you
her,
know what? It was worth it because she looks fucking incredible in this film, mate. Mate,
crack on.
let's talk. Let's talk Christopher Lloyd, mate. The star of probably your favourite film of all time.
Yeah.
Throws out another incredible performance in this as Uncle Fester.
How does he do it, mate?
Gomez! Ah!
Them eyes, them puppy dog eyes. I think he plays this fucking brilliant because
Mate,
you totally believe the fact that he's like the whole way he's like, what's going on? And he's like waiting for the cues and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Of like, that I haven't got a clue, and like, when obviously Gomez is like trying to hint at him and like give him opportunities, he's like, you know what to do, and he's like, oh, what do I do? And then that kind of revelation. I think he's genius, mate.
yeah, mate. I just love his physicality in this. Like his shoulders always up here, and he's like, he walks like this. And my name's Fester. It means to rot. Like he's so big. I just think I love Christopher Lloyd, and also Christopher Lloyd is one of those actors that kind of gets swallowed by Doc Brown. Do you know what I mean? Like in the sense that he doesn't get enough recognition, I think, for a lot of the other work that he's done. This is a guy that was in frigging One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, man.
Oh,
like this is a guy who's done some real solid work, but just can't ever seem to escape that shadow of Doc Brown. But I will point those people to Uncle Fester to show what an incredible actor Christopher Lloyd truly is.
Well, he's just a classic character actor, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? And the fact that, oh, sorry, mate, but the fact, I think people will remember this performance, though. I know what you're saying about the whole like Doc, but if you're an Addams Family fan, like I do think you'll never forget Uncle Fester. Maybe not so much the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Fair enough. Christina Ricci, mate.
Yeah.
This is I'm pretty sure it's the first appearance of Christina Ricci in anything. And she's just outstanding as Wednesday Addams in this. I mean, outstanding. Child performers, it's one of those things, isn't it? That a child performance can make or break a film. And in this, they found a truly unique talent in Christina Ricci, especially in Addams Family Values. She is incredible, mate.
What does she still act?
Yeah.
She is in shit. Like what has she been in since that? Like,
and most recently, so if I'm thinking back things, she was the star of Sleepy Hollow. If you ever watched that with Johnny Depp, the Tim Burton movie.
Yeah.
She was in a film where she's very real sexy little movie called Black Snake Moan with Samuel L. Jackson. She might have been Oscar nominated for Monster with Charlize Theron, where
of course, yeah. She's great in that.
I think I might be wrong, mate. Was she in the TV series Pan Am about the airline? I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I've not seen that.
I'd look into it. I'm a big fan of Christina Ricci. I think she's really sexy, and I think she's a good actress. And I've got a lot of time for her. So
I'd forgotten about Monster. Actually, I've forgotten.
Yeah, mate.
She's amazing in that.
I watched that with my girlfriend a few weeks ago. We watched Monster. It's a heavy movie, mate. It's a heavy movie.
Mate, it's hardcore. Have you watched the documentary?
Yeah, I watched it on Netflix.
But Eileen.
Yeah, mate. She's got a few screws loose, but she had a fucking tough life, bro.
Mate, she did, mate. She did.
Do you know what I mean?
What about the kid? What about Pugsley? I don't think he did anything after this film.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine, but compared to Christina Ricci, he's quite forgettable. Yeah. The fella that plays Lurch in this went on to star in what I think is my favourite Barry Sonnenfeld film, the wonderful Men in Black. which is one of my favourite films of all time. Men in Black 1 for me is like maybe top 5. Like I really fucking love that
Who is
movie.
he in that?
He gets stabbed through the neck in the cafeteria by the bug guy, who's like, "You're right about one thing," and then stabs him through the
Oh
neck.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. And then his mate, who he's having dinner with, his face opens up and he's got a little alien inside of it.
Yeah.
And he's like, "The galaxy is on Orion's belt. That's where it is." You remember that shit? It's a good fucking movie, mate. Good fucking movie. Hey,
Mate,
have we done Men in Black?
No, we should do Men in Black.
Mate.
Do you know what? I think after October Horror Month, we should do. Is that 2000s maybe?
Nah, that's 1997.
Well, that's what I was hoping you were going to say, because I think we should have a 90s month maybe.
And go over all the films we loved as kids.
Yes, mate.
Do all of our kids' movies that we saw at the cinema.
Yeah, mate.
We do DuckTales the movie.
Yeah.
Edward Scissorhands. Rescuers Down Under.
I noticed on Netflix they've got a 90s category, and so like fucking Heartbreak High, Moesha, Sister.
Do you know what, mate? I was a real
Sister,
big Keenan and
Sister.
Kel guy.
Oh, love
Keenan and Kel was my jam.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch?
Who loves orange soda, mate?
I love orange soda. Did you ever watch Hanging with Mr. Cooper?
Mate, no, you're a year older than me, mate, right? And I think that year kind of tipped me over the edge a bit. I was a bit too young for Mr. Cooper. My big brother watched it.
Okay.
I didn't.
What was the one with LL Cool J and he wore his pants up to his knee?
That, mate, again, that's enough. Like at this point in time, I was still watching like the cartoons. Okay. I was still watching like my Nickelodeon cartoons and shit. You know, you're a bit more mentally developed than I was. You were watching the kind of teen drama. I was still watching Dragon Ball. You know what I mean? I was watching SWAT Cats. That's a deep cut. If you know what SWAT Cats is, yeah.
Oh, Power Rangers is in that section as well, mate.
Yeah, it is. Power Rangers, the movie, mate. Ivan Ooze. Yeah.
Right, back to Addams Family, mate.
Thing. One thing about the Thing, that visual effect still holds up. Still looks great.
Unbelievable, mate.
Yeah, still looks brilliant. Love it.
Yeah. How did they do that?
I don't fucking know. I think it's a real trained hand. I have no idea. I'm assuming, mate, it's a real person's hand with a blue sock on the top of it up there.
But it's incredible, mate. It's everywhere. It runs everywhere. It does everything.
Yeah, because if you ever watched the original, have you ever seen the original Addams Family from the 60s, the black and white series?
Not a lot, but I've seen.
Yeah, in that, the Thing is just in a box all the time. So like, they'll put a box on a table and the hand will come out of it. But it's obviously just a table with a hole cut in it where there's a fella got his arm through it. So the idea in this to make Thing that way and you just cut off from there works in treats, boss.
Amazing. Who else is in this?
What the fuck is Cousin It?
The hair.
Yeah, the hair. Yeah. What is that?
Are they in this one?
Yeah.
Oh, in the ball. They like.
Yeah, he's at the party, and the woman
party.
falls in love with him.
Yeah, and the twins is it Flora and Fauna, whatever they are.
Flora and Fauna Addams. Yeah.
Love them too.
There's a really ugly, like weird cousin who's got like
tiny head. Tiny head. I would say Beth looks like her.
Yeah, mate. And Morticia's like, "You've grown," and he's like,
"Oh no, that one like he's like, yeah."
He's got like a hunchback and big teeth out here, and he's like,
I love that ball, mate. That's a great scene. It's a great scene.
Yeah, mate. Like this ties in with the Thing and being amazing. Barry Sonnenfeld's cinematography, mate. This film looks unreal. Like the set design, the costume and the character design, the effort gone in, like we said, to give Angelica Houston the pillar box light and the eyes. Like, that attention to detail. Yeah. Outstanding, mate.
Even like the graveyard when Morticia's taking Uncle Fester through them all, and she's like talking through, like even that, like it just takes the history and the backstory of the Addams to another level. Do you know what I mean? And all
Yeah.
the shit statues that they've got. You remember them? And it's like,
Also, I think it's difficult to toe that line, mate, between like horror and the macabre, and also the outrageous humour. It's difficult to make that balance of like jokes about mass murderers and psychopaths and that sort of stuff, but make it so light-hearted and comic booky that it becomes so funny and kind of throwaway. And these are really, mate, like lovable murderers.
Yeah.
These are real difficult line to balance, and Barry Sonnenfeld, mate, smashes it out of the park. And then the second one takes it up another level.
And it's just like, it's kind of, it makes you want to have a family like that on your street. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, mate.
Like,
yeah, I want a guy who smashes golf balls into my house.
I think that's what I think's quite genius about it, is that it's not the Addams family in some scary castle in Transylvania in the middle of nowhere. They're just
in the suburbs.
They're everyday family. 'Cause, you know, that even that moment when he hits the golf ball over into the other house, and he's like, "God damn you, Addams!"
Addams!
And when Pugsley, I think he's out, and he keeps robbing all the stop signs with and they're at breakfast, and they're listening for the crash, and they're like, "Well done, son." Love it.
It's a good movie, mate. It's a fucking good movie. I got to admit, I really enjoyed watching it. Actually, it is a great film. I do like it, and I love how wealthy Gomez is, and he just doesn't care. Like, it's so good. I love it, man. Love it.
When the betting, sorry, mate. When they sell the finger lock in the auction, and him and Morticia are they're just betting between them.
$5,000.
And she's like, $20,000. And they win it, and he's like, $50,000 to the Addams. Brilliant. Love it, mate. Love them.
Yeah, mate. Love it.
Great family.
Anything else, mate, you want to say about the Addams family?
Just that I can't believe it's 30 years old, mate.
Shit, mate. 30 years old. I know.
Wow.
We should talk about it briefly. So, Addams Family, was just said then, is kind of having a comeback. Tim Burton is doing, which Tim Burton's a director that always has kind of been attached to the Addams Family for a long time. They wanted him to make this version originally, but he was busy doing Batman Returns. And I always felt when I was a kid that this was a Tim Burton film.
Oh, did you?
I think because of that black and white aesthetic, I think, and also this came out at a time of Edward Scissorhands and Beetlejuice and Batman, which all have that same vibe. A Nightmare Before Christmas, all had that vibe. So I when I was a little kid, I always thought it was the same guy. I didn't realise who Barry Sonnenfeld was.
Yeah, I feel that.
But it's gone full circle. Tim Burton's now directing the Wednesday show, which you mentioned earlier, which I think it's is it Chloe Grace Moretz, the girl who was Hit Girl in Kick-Ass? I think it's her.
Okay, she's playing Wednesday.
I think she's Wednesday, and I think it's Wednesday at University. Basically,
nice,
the premise.
Nice. Mate, I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, but also there is a new Addams Family coming to the cinema this week. So
Addams Family 2.
2? Yeah, the animated version. I watched the first one.
I haven't seen the first one. Is it any good? Yeah.
Listen, the voice cast is unreal. Do you know why? Because the Charlize Theron is Morticia. Yeah, mate. Oscar Isaacs is Gomez. Chloe Grace Moretz is Wednesday in those animated movies.
Okay.
It's not her in the Morticia show. Sorry, everyone. My bad. I'm lying to you. It's not Chloe Grace Moretz in the live action show. She's Wednesday in the cartoon. The cartoons are fine. They have the same visual look as the comic strip. I don't like the voice that the guy does for Uncle Fester in it. He kind of speaks like this. And it's like, hey, I'm Uncle Fester. A bit like the Fester in the original series. I prefer the more like, Gomez. Yeah. What's the guy's name? I feel really bad for forgetting the dude's name.
What, in the
good comedian?
One?
Yeah. It's a good comedian, man. He's a Jewish guy. He was in the show The League. He's a voice actor in loads of stuff. Do you know what? Forget it. It don't fucking matter. Nick Kroll.
Yes, mate. Well done.
Thanks, mate. Yeah. So go check that. Second one's out at the cinema now. Go and check it out. I ain't gonna fucking watch it, but
I'm
you
not gonna
can.
watch it, mate.
Yeah.
Never. Should we? Anything else you want to say about the Addams Family?
Not really, mate. Just that I really enjoyed watching this. It was really good fun.
Yeah, me too. Loved it.
Yeah, guys, it's Halloween. If you're looking for something that is not really scary or violent, but it's still got that kind of spooky feel to it, I'd really recommend the Addams Family. And also, me and Tomo forget it's 30 years old. You might be a kid listening to this and going, I've never seen it. Trust me, it's worth it and it still holds up. Big recommendation from me, from the Addams Family.
Boom. It is time now for top 10, mate.
Tomo's Internet Top 10. Jugga jugs.
All right. This week, guys, I have gone for top 10 horror families you wouldn't want to be related to. Woo!
Number one is the Thompsons, or the Chai Thompsons, I should say.
Defo, mate. Defo. They're all right, just joking.
They're a good crack, mate. They're a good bunch. I know them personally. The Chai Thompsons are a good gang.
They're a good gang. So coming in at number 10, we have got the Armitages. I don't know if I've said that right. They are the family, Rich, from Get Out.
Ah, Bradley Whitford.
Yes.
Yes.
What's her name? Who I really like. She's
good, mate.
She's
real good. She's in
Nine Perfect Strangers, I think, at the moment as well. I think she's the woman in there.
But mate, yeah, Get Out, great movie. Modern political satire from the great Jordan Peele. I think most people have probably watched this film now. It was massive. It was huge.
I loved it, mate. I really enjoyed it.
It's a great fucking
isn't
movie.
it?
You are?
A24 film, near the production company, A24.
Oh, is that what it is?
I
know that it was. Oh, interesting. I know that Blumhouse were involved in it as well.
Okay.
But yeah, mate, crack out. I can't see. We've said enough about Get Out. It's brilliant. Everyone knows it.
Yeah. Next family is the White family from Carrie.
Oh, as in Carrie's fucked up mum.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate.
Fucked up.
All I'll say about Carrie is, if you've only seen the remake that came out recently, well, I say recently, it's about 10 years ago now, with Julianne Moore and Chloe Grace Moretz, I think, again, comes up. Go back and watch the original City Space Egg. John Travolta, mate, makes an appearance in it. Go and watch the original. Is it Brian De Palma? I think it is. It's fucking brilliant, mate.
Yeah.
Carrie, great. I actually read the book, Carrie.
Ooh. Do you know what? I'm not ashamed to say, but I've never seen any of the Carries, mate.
Mate, you will love it. You will love it, mate. And Beth, like it's a mother-daughter story. I know how much you love a mother-daughter story, mate. Carrie is basically a young girl at school who is bullied relentlessly, and her mum is a hardcore Christian zealot, and is very abusive. And then one day, mate, Carrie only finds out she got telekinetic powers. She can do shit with her mind, mate.
And
so
she do shit.
Does Carrie do shit, mate? Let's just say that prom night turns into a fucking giant vampire.
That's it, prom night.
Right.
It's Stephen King, isn't it? It's a Stephen King book. Yeah.
Like Stephen King's first book.
Well, do you know what I'm reading? You know, I like Stephen King. I'm reading a Stephen King at the moment, Mr. Mercedes. But yeah.
That's the new TV series that's come out.
Yeah. Well, I've not watched the series. Yeah, mate.
With Brendan Gleeson. Yeah.
But I'm reading the book, mate. It's really good. Really good. Yeah.
Is it supernatural?
I don't know. I'm only a few chapters in.
Okay then, cool.
It's basically from what I've read up to now, it's kind of a serial killer from back in the day gets in touch with an old retired detective.
Okay.
That's all.
Cool.
That's where I'm at. But I want to go back and do all the old school Stephen Kings. So I want to like read them and then watch them. So I'll definitely do Carrie.
Mate, it's also dead short, easy read. It's
Oh,
quick
great.
to do it. Yeah.
So number 8. I've just realised I've not wrote down the family name, but it's the family from the Goonies.
Oh, the criminal, the Pratellis,
Oh, what is it?
the Italian
Yeah, the
family anyway.
Italian family.
Yeah,
Pranelli.
yeah.
We'll throw him
One
in.
of them, one sings opera.
Yeah.
One is a nasty old lady who wants to cut out children's tongues.
Yes.
It's pretty brutal, mate.
I love them, mate. They're a good family.
They're incredible. They're amazing.
And of course, Sloth. He's part of the family.
Technically, Sloth is part of the family.
Yeah, he is part of the
Yeah.
family.
Mate, can you believe what kids' films used to be about when we were kids?
And
Like, mate, Goonies is real fucked up now you think
hey,
about it.
fucked up when he's locked in that little like dungeon, and like
Yeah, mate.
Chunk is like next to him, and he's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and
And he's
like,
all,
he's like, "Wah!"
fuck, it's fucked up, mate. Not proper.
So yeah, that's number 8. Number 7 is the Jupiter clan from The Hills Have Eyes. They're fucked up.
I'm a really big fan of the Hills Have Eyes remake from the early 2000s.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's one of the best modern horror films. Definitely one of the best horror remakes, and it doesn't seem to get enough love. If you've never seen it, I'd really recommend it. If you've never seen the first Hills Have Eyes, it's one of Wes Craven's first forays into horror. It's a nasty little horror film, but I think to modern day standards, probably doesn't hold up that well. The remake, on the other hand, fucking watch it. It's
really
real
good. And you're right in saying it's nasty, mate.
It is.
It's like horrible.
Yeah, it is. But that's what it's meant to be, and it does what it says on the tin. Like, that's what it's trying to do, and it pulls it off. It works. Really good film. I really, really like that movie.
Yeah, I do, mate. Number 6 is, I don't really know them, and because I've not seen the film, you will have, the Firefly Family from House of a Thousand Corpses.
All right, and so the House of a Thousand Corpses, I'm not crazy on. The sequel, The Devil's Rejects, I really like. The Firefly Family, you've got the 3 main guys, Captain Spaulding, then the Sherry Moon zombie, I forget the character she plays, and then my favourite one, I forget the character's name, but he's played by the guy who plays Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which is one of my favourite horror films of all time ever. I'm blanking on the guy's name. You're going to have to forgive me. But you're going to have to forgive me.
It'll pop back in.
It will pop back in. But he's a really, really good actor. I'm a big fan. Trying to remember it so hard, mate.
Well,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Moving on to number 5, your favourite. It's the Sawyer clan in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, mate.
Mate, probably the first real crazy cannibal hillbilly family in cinema, which then went on to become a trope, as the Fireflies we've just proved. Mate, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Is this your favourite? Yeah.
It's up there, mate. I've always said Ridley Scott always said something interesting. When he made Alien, he was like, I decided to watch those horror films, and I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre because you can't do any better. And I kind of agree. The first Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so fucking nasty, and there's barely any gore in it. It's not about the gore; it's about the tone of it. Bill Moseley.
Well done, mate.
Bill Moseley, mate. Anyway, the tone of that film, it kind of has this real oppressive heat to it, and there's no escape. And then the last kind of third of it, where they have the dining scene with the family and they're crying, laughing at her, it's like it's hell on screen. It's fucking phenomenal. And if you're somebody who's never seen it, I guarantee it still holds that same hate and knife edge that it did back in the 70s. Do not underestimate the original Chainsaw Massacre. It's a masterpiece. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, on the other hand, is comedy horror gold, and my favourite Bill Moseley performance. If you've never seen that, mate, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is my jam.
Is my jam on toast. Mate, you love Texas.
I love those movies. I love those fucking movies, man. Yeah, I do.
Right, number 4 is the Bates family from Psycho.
Mate, Psycho, man. It's even what, 60 years later, more than that now. This film is still talked about as like the gold standard of suspense and horror. The balls of this film, man. The balls of this film. Killing off the main character half an hour in is still to this day ballsy as fuck. But also, in that time, the idea of the killer being this guy who dresses up in women's clothing and goes around. Bear in mind, mate, this was a time when the idea of a man dressed in women's clothing was considered very, very taboo. Thank God we now live in a time where opinions are much more lax and we're much more open to those kind of things. But at the time, this was some really wild out there shit. And massive impact. I'm still a big fan of Psycho. I think it's also the first time in cinema history when anybody ever showed a toilet flushing. It's facts.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that you know that, mate.
Yeah, mate, because it was taboo. You weren't allowed to do it. The idea of a toilet flush was like, how dare you?
Well, like a bit prudy.
Yeah, no.
That's insane. So the fact that people were probably more concerned about a toilet flush than maybe a killing shower scene. That's insane.
Yeah, I think people were just really freaked out, mate, by that final image of Norman running in, and he's like, yeah! And he's in the dress, and he's got the wig. I think people were just genuinely like, this is fucking mind-bending. This is not what is normal to people. And it was based on a book, but you could get away with a lot more in books than you could in what was considered mainstream cinema. You know?
And I think the thing is now, do you think, and I don't think there has been, do you think there's been horrors of late that make you react and go, oh God? Because I think we're such a society now that we watch serial killer documentaries. You know, we're all quite into that kind of realm. That I don't think we experience that like deep horror shock that they did back in the day. I don't know.
100%, mate. I mean, as an audience, we've been watered down with horror that, as I always bring it up, mate, I mean, this was at a point when there's no blood in Psycho. You don't really see any blood, but it's shot him to the core. The Walking Dead has been the biggest show on television for the last 5 years in America, and that's one of the most violent TV shows I've ever seen. And that's at prime time, and you see people getting their faces ripped apart and viscera everywhere. Also, I was born in what I consider to be like the golden age of horror cinema. We were born in the late 80s, and the late 80s for me, like that decade of horror was your Freddys and your Jasons and your Child's Plays and your Hellraisers and all these horror icons. And then in the 90s, you had Scream, and that was it. And then in the 2000s, you had the torture porn thing with Saw and all this sort of stuff comes in. Only in the last decade have we seen horror films that, for me personally, have actually been like genuinely interesting and adult horror films.
Adult horror. It's more like there's more kind of like story to them, isn't it? It's less like horror scare. It's actually like about relationships,
sophistication, storytelling.
Like Candyman. We've just seen Candyman quite recently. That's a perfect example of that.
I think of things like Hereditary, which is by far my favourite horror film of the last 10 years, by a million miles. If you haven't seen Hereditary, mate, I wouldn't recommend it. I think it'd fuck you up.
Yeah.
I don't think you get through it. I think you and Beth would be like, turn this fucker off. I think it'd scare you, mate. It's genuinely terrifying. Like genuinely. It's a masterpiece.
I'm gonna watch it.
There's also a film out recently called Midsummer, which is
I've seen that.
it's completely set in
daytime, isn't
broad
it?
daylight. Yet it leaves you with this horrific, horrible feeling.
Yeah.
There was a film a few years ago called by Ben Wheatley called Kill List, which again was a British horror film that I thought was tremendous. So I do think we are kind of getting. What was the Netflix show, mate? Haunting on Hill House. I love that.
Yeah, I love that, mate. But you're right. It's just a different tone, isn't it? That we're obviously in at the moment. I wonder if we'll get a bit more. You know the way obviously like with fashion and everything, 80s comes back, 90s come back. I wonder if we'll start doing full circle, whether we'll start go to them old like traditional black and whites, you know, horror.
Yeah, I think we're definitely in need of another horror icon.
Yeah,
I think we need someone else for kids to dress up as Halloween.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I mean, it's been a while since we had that image of a horror character that was, you know, that kind of becomes iconic and starts getting plastered on lunchboxes and kind of steps past the realm of horror films to mainstream media. You know, I mean, Freddy went from being a child molester to being a fucking plush toy. Like, that's kind of what I want to see.
Yeah,
again.
no, I know, you're right, mate. Because I think people are focusing, you know, our podcast named on it, but it's just remaking the shit out of everything. Do you know what I mean? And it's because they know it's going to sell. But you're right. I think there needs to be someone out there, a fucking horror writer out there, create someone new.
Yeah.
Give us a new icon.
Who's next, mate?
Next, mate, is number 3 is the Torrances from The Shining.
Yeah. I wouldn't say the whole family are evil. I'd say Jack's pretty gnarly.
And the kid's a bit fucked up.
Kid is a bit fucked up. He's got the shinning after all, and he's got that little finger puppet mate that he likes to speak to. Who he's like,
It's mainly the dad, though. You're right.
Yeah, the Shining, mate. I mean, as with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, kind of as of the greatest horror films ever made. Like for me, that Alien, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there is a skill at work. There is a hand at work playing that film that just kind of is faultless, really. It's The Shining, mate. It's incredible. It's a masterpiece.
We've done an episode on it as well, so you can go back and listen to that. Number 2, it's the Addams Family, mate.
Diddle-itty. We love them.
Family,
We've said it. We love them. They're boss.
They're a great family.
Apart from the third one with Tim Curry, who I love, but the film's a big old bag of shit.
Number 1, it is The Munsters.
The Munsters.
Yeah, mate. The Munsters, mate.
All right, now this is the thing, man. The Munsters, when I was young, I knew more than the Addams Family.
Me too. Same.
Munsters was still on the telly when we were kids.
Yeah, mate. The black and white.
It'd be on like a Sunday afternoon. The Munsters would still be on. Oh, this is reruns from like the 60s and 70s, whenever Munsters was on.
I think it was my first like black and white thing that I've ever watched, and it from an early age. And because my mum and dad were like, they loved it. Do you know what I mean? Because they probably watched it.
I also think the Munsters, it makes a bit more sense than the Addams Family as well. Yeah. Like they're made up of a Frankenstein and a Wolfman and a Dracula.
Who's the guy with the white?
That's Grandpa, who's Dracula. The Grandpa.
Love him.
Him, and then Herman Munster, who's the Frankenstein dad.
Yeah.
The thing I remember the most from is the judge in My Cousin Vinny, which is a film that I fucking love, mate. That's all I've got to say about that.
But yeah, mate, I love them. I think it's quite interesting that they've not made that into a film.
Oh, wellity. Rob Zombie, who directed House of a Thousand Corpses, the Halloween remake, and The Devil's Rejects, is currently under production of making the monsters.
Well,
So
there you go, mate. I will look forward to that. So that's it.
Yeah.
My top 10 horror families.
Really enjoyed that, mate, especially the fact that the Monsters was number one. That came out of left field, and I like it.
Yes, mate. It's time.
Guys, it's your favourite part of the show. It's the reason you tune in, even more than the beautiful Tomo. I know why you tune in. It's for the titular part of the show. It's Ready, Steady, Remake.
Who wants to go first?
You can go first this week, mate, because I've been struggling this week.
Same. I mean, mine's not a remake. It's probably a prequel.
Mine isn't either.
I can't do remakes. We fucked up. Our own podcast, we can't even stick to the rules, mate.
Mate, it's hard, right, when you are doing a film that has been remade 4 separate times
Yeah.
and is based on a comic strip from the 30s. It's not too easy. Is it the 30s? I don't even know, but whatever. Go
60s, I think. 60s.
on. Is it? Go on.
Okay, so my film is going to be based more on the early days, the beginning days of Gomez and Morticia. So the kind of love story of how they got together and what they got up to back in the day before the kids got involved. So I'd call it maybe just the Addams or Gomez and Morticia. I don't know. But I want it set in like 1890s, and I want it to be like real horror, dramatic, black and white horror, and quite like romantic as well. And I'm gonna star my cast. I want Morticia, so the young Jodie Comer. I wanna,
That's a good shout, that, mate.
and I
She's
want it
got
to
that.
be,
She's got that thin, willowy vibe as well.
yeah. So imagine her jet black hair, but like fucked up mental Morticia, like real dark, twisted, crazy, like Killing Eve, psycho.
Yeah, mate, you've nailed it on the casting. That is, I'm sold on that 100%.
So that's what I'm going for with Morticia. Gomez, I want Bill Skarsgård.
Okay.
Mate,
Okay.
I'll send you an image of Bill Skarsgård, and it literally, mate, he looks like a young Gomez.
Mate, he's got. I
The
don't want to
big
be rude,
eyes.
but bulbous eyeballs.
Bulbous eyeballs, mate. But there's this, when I was Googling him, I was like, wondering, and I saw this picture of him, and I was like, fucking hell, I'll send you it, mate, pop it in this. But he looks like a young Gomez. So I want them too. Director, I'm going to go for Robert Eger, Eger, Egger. He did The Lighthouse.
Oh, of course, mate. Yeah, if you're going for that tone,
That's the tone I'm going for,
that's
mate.
a real fucking dark movie, mate.
Yeah.
It's a real fucked up movie.
He did
But,
The
mate,
Witch. He did
I'm
The Witch.
sold on this. Yeah,
did
The
The
Witch
Witch
is.
as well.
You seen The Witch?
Yeah, mate.
With Anna Taylor-Joy. Anna Taylor-Joy, is that her name? From Queen's Gambit.
Mate, it's
fucking
all
good.
that A24. I'm all about A24 at the
Yeah,
moment.
mate. Okay.
So that's the tone and the vibe that I'm going for. But yeah, it's set in England, London, 1890s, and basically the plot is we see how these two meet, and I'm going with that Morticia, basically a little bit like Lady Macbeth. She's the twisted one, and she lures in Gomez, who's like, all right, and basically because he becomes so obsessed with how beautiful and like, she's just
He
fucking,
speaks French.
yeah. So she lures him in with her fucking, her beauty and whatever, and then she ends up like a little bit Lady Macbeth to kind of like get through this passion. They start going on a killing spree, and it's about a little bit Bonnie and Clyde, about how Morticia and Gomez basically before they had the kids used to just go and kill loads of people and then end up, passionately having some love making afterwards to celebrate. So that's it. Gomez and Morticia.
Mate, I'll be honest with you. That's not a bad pitch.
Yeah?
That's not a bad pitch at all, mate. I mean, because let's be honest, there's not
I'd
a lot
watch
of
it.
places I'd watch it. There's not a lot of places you can go with the Addams Family. It's been done. It's been done to death. So you've got to really take a left turn on this, mate. I think you've nailed that personally.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
That's a good one. That's your best remake for a while, you know.
Cheers, mate.
I'll put it out there.
I know. I usually go silly, don't I? But I thought
No, that's a movie I genuinely watch. Like, that's a good show.
Thanks, mate. What about you? Go on.
So, you ready for something terrible? All right, here we go. So, mate, I want to take you back to the 1990s when we were kids. ITV. You'd put the telly on and you'd watch maybe Art Attack or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember a show called Zap? And it was a comic cover. And each of the comic covers had a different section. And you'd go in and you'd watch like a little bit of the comic. Do you remember this show? And one of the skits on it were these two hands that would do little bits and bobs on the show. One of them was an artist who had like a mustache and draw stuff on a wall. Zap, right?
I think I remember this, mate.
So, right, one of the characters like a dude in like a black mask and like a hat anyway, right?
Yeah.
So this is my show. It's not a movie. This is my new YouTube series called Doing Things with Thing, right? And Doing Things with Thing is an arts and crafts YouTube channel, right? Where each episode, Thing, the hand, guides us how to do a different little arts and crafts project. So maybe he's like, I don't know, making like a little pot for your pencils. Maybe he's making like a little paper mache house. But it's called Doing Things with Thing. Yeah, and every episode, the music is just diddling. It's only like 3 minutes a pop. And it just teaches you and your kids how to have a nice day. That's it.
Mate, I think that is your best pitch. I fucking love it. Mate,
Hey.
I think you could... Why don't we do that?
Arts and crafts.
Arts and crafts with the thing.
Mate, binging with a babish. All that is just hands cooking. It's the same thing, but it's just one hand.
Mate, do you know what? People will watch it.
Fucking diddling it. Doing things with Thing.
Well done, mate. Well done. I love it.
Mate.
So there we go.
That's it.
That's it.
I enjoyed it this week, mate. I enjoyed that. It's good fun.
Yeah, it was good fun. We'll do another one. Do we know what we want to do? What, do you want to choose?
I'll have a think. It's going to be spooky. I'll choose it. It's going to be a horror episode. So
let's go dark.
Guys, tune in. We're going to go fucking... Do you want to go real dark?
Let's go dark, yeah.
All right. Guys, next week, look out for something fucked up, all right? Because I'm going to put out all the stops next week. All right. Mate, stay spooky, stay scary. Happy October, everyone.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2,
1. Stay safe. Nice, mate.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.